What's up everyone, I'm your female otaku and I'm here to review episode 5 of ACCA. And with this episode of ACCA, we actually got a pretty funny moment, which I really enjoy. This is what made the episode much better than last week's episode for me. I know some people didn't really like this episode, but I personally enjoyed it mainly because of this scene. When Maggie and Prince Schwan, Maggie, he was just giving the bread to Prince Schwan, and then Schwan was just asking for, like, you know, more information on Lotta, and so then Maggie goes and calls Rail. Just this little encounter between him and Rail. Like, Rail just goes up to Maggie, being all like, I know that you're, like, stalking her, like, how could you do that? I know you're one of her followers. And Maggie's like, I don't care about that. Look at this toast, man. And then Rail hooks him up. And now they're suddenly bros now because they both like bread and Lotta. So that whole dynamic just made the episode for me. But that wasn't the main part of this episode. Another part of the episode that I really enjoyed was when Jean found out about Niino being the observer. You see, Jean gets this little hint about the observer. Like, first he finds out that he's being observed by someone hired by Grossler. And then after there was a hint given by Lilium, it was something along the lines of, like, someone that he knew? I believe something along those lines. Jean was able to deduct who the observer was. And, like, Jean never realized that he was being watched at all. And it was when Lilium said, oh, well, maybe because you couldn't have noticed because this person's, like, always around. You know? So, again, like, something along those lines, you know? And so when Jean goes to confront Niino about this, Jean isn't angry. And, you know, we find out that Niino cares. And I'm happy with this because that was one thing I never really thought about. If Niino ever cared for Jean in the first place. Because Niino said that he's not just doing this for ACCA, and Jean knows that Niino isn't gonna, you know, try to get Jean in trouble. So there's definitely still a bond between the two, so I'm happy to see that they're still bros, and in the end, they all decide to go out for dinner, along with Lotta, and then when Jean was about to go away to another district, he says, Niino, you take Lotta out for dinner every single night. Nina's like, okay, like, Niino, my boy. I love this man, okay? Best boy Niino. He's too cool, especially because, you know, Suda the voice actor, man. Like, I can't help it. I love the man. Anyway, so at this new district, we see a lot of people looking like Grossler, and Grossler just so happens to be one of the people in the crowd. And Jean is going to confront him. I think that's a terrible idea. Oh boy, like, Jean might get fired. I mean, I know Jean would probably like, you know, to get fired, but he's still working with Mauve. Even though he didn't tell Mauve about the incident over in the previous district from, you know, last week's episode, he's still working with Mauve. Okay, the director general. Now's not a good time to get fired, okay? Because they're still trying to figure out about this whole coup d'etat thing. So, I think confronting Grossler is a very bad idea. I don't know what exactly he's going to say to him. Who knows? Maybe I'm overthinking the situation. Maybe Jean isn't going to actually confront Grossler in the way I think he is. Maybe he's not going to talk about Niino. Maybe he's not going to talk about the coup d'etat. Maybe he's just going to say, hey, what are you doing here? Or, hey, pretty strange to see you around these parts, you know, so something like that. I don't know, but it could most likely not end well for Jean. Anyway, what did you guys think about this episode? Did you enjoy that little bit with Maggie and Rail and Prince Schwan? Like, that was so good. And how do you feel about Jean at this point and how he's treating all these situations with, like, Niino and with Grossler, how he's about to go about with that? And yeah, that's pretty much this episode. So then catch me tomorrow as I review Akiba's Strip, Chaos Child, and live react to Konosuba 2. I'm your female otaku, sayonara.